The only way that you kill somebody like Brian Thompson is by suggesting that he is motivated not by a desire to keep the company working and operative in a very difficult regulatory environment with a bizarre system of subsidies and administrative details and all of the rest of that. And you can disagree with his decisions, think they're wrong, but that's the actual. Instead, what you do is you say he's evil and he's just trying to maximize profit. Once you start saying the evil profiteers are trying to harm Americans, like that's their goal. Their goal is to harm, and I'm telling you, this is on both sides of the aisle. It is on the left predominantly, but there's a swath of people on the right who are also doing this routine. It's ugly. Now, I will say that there are elites who have lent credibility to this particular argument through their malfeasance. I think COVID had a lot to do with this. You had people like Anthony Fauci who were giving the platonic lies to the American public, lying for their own purposes in many cases, quashing their political opposition. But the generalized argument that is made too much in politics, and it does boil the pot, okay, it leads to an increasing temperature that justifies violence, is this language that disagreements on policy are not because of a pragmatic inability to come to a conclusion or starting from different first principles or using logical deductions that end up with different conclusions. No, the actual reason that, for example, the healthcare system is a mess is because Brian Thompson is an evil person who is trying to kill grandma, right? Or the reason that the oil companies are attempting to pump more oil is not because there is high demand for carbon-based fossil fuels, because it's still the most effective form of energy production on the planet. It's because they want to destroy the earth and don't care about destroying the earth. Right? Or the reason the bank denied your loan is not because the bank looked at your loan, assessed the risk, and found that it wasn't worth the price. It's because the bank manager is actually Mr. Potter and is trying to deny your bank loan because he himself is evil. Now, this sort of stuff does get politicians where they want to go very often, because the easiest form of politics is to label your political opponents motivated, not by mistake, but motivated by actual sociopathic Darth Vader style evil. People just want to do bad things to you. But this does lead to higher levels of violence across the board. And one of the things that's sort of amazing in the right-left breakdown is, depending on who is doing the justifying, using the exact same logic, you'll see one side or the other justify it. So, for example, when Bernie Sanders, back in 2020, says that our system creates huge profits by deliberately killing people, which is not the way the healthcare system works. If that were true, life expectancy in the United States would have declined over the course of, say, the last 50 years, rather than radically increasing over the course of the last 50 years. The regulatory environment in the United States, as we've discussed for healthcare, is a complete mess. But Bernie says he could just cut that Gordian knot by suggesting the reason that healthcare isn't better is because we need to nationalize it, and anyone who doesn't want to nationalize it wants grandma to be murdered.
The function of our current system, however, is simply to make huge profits for the drug companies and the insurance companies, who made $100 billion in profit last year while people die because they don't get to a doctor on time.
Again, the basic notion that Bernie Sanders is spewing there, this Marxist notion that profit is inherently some sort of grave evil. And if you just got rid of the $100 billion in profit, then magically healthcare would get better. There are non-profitable systems. They're called nationalized healthcare systems, and the outcomes are not better. Okay, so it's just not true. But it's a sexy argument to many people on the left. It's even a sexy argument to some people on the right. Again, there are demagogues on the right who will do the same exact routine. Well, look at these systems. You know, it's very difficult for young families to buy single-family housing. That must be because there's a coterie of elite who don't care whether you can get single-family housing, who want to exploit you, who want to harm you. And we should go after those people. This sort of demagoguery exists across the aisle. What's funny, again, is depending on the context in which it crops up, you'll see different crowds condemning it. We'll get to more of this in a moment. First, you have an opportunity to open an IRA in gold with Birch Gold and receive free silver delivered to your home. During this special holiday season, Birch Gold is offering a complimentary 1-ounce silver eagle for every $5,000 purchased. The best part is there's no out-of-pocket cost to you. Here's how it works. Simply convert your existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, and Birch Gold will send your free silver coins directly to your home. Now, you might be thinking, why do I need to diversify into gold? Well, here's the thing. One of the most significant issues is our national debt. The fact is, this is important, our nation is broke. Debt is a house of cards that cannot be quickly dismantled. For as long as the economy is sitting on that house of cards, the strategy remains the same. Diversification. That's exactly why I buy gold from Birch Gold. So you should take action the way I have. Text Ben to 989898 before December 18th. Get a free info kit on gold and claim your eligibility for free silver on qualifying purchases from Birch Gold. Do this before December 18th. Again, text Ben to the number 989898 for peace of mind that lasts longer than 4 years. Again, text Ben to 989898 and talk to my friends over at Birch Gold about how you should diversify. So, to take a completely, the exact same argument, but now applied to a different context. Yesterday, Daniel Penny was acquitted in New York, as he well should have been. Daniel Penny is a hero. Daniel Penny was protecting people on a subway from the predations of a mentally ill, deeply schizophrenic drug abuser who was threatening them physically, according to witness testimony on the subway train. This trial never should have happened. It should not have happened in the first place. He was acquitted yesterday. Okay, and I want to get into the acquittal in a moment, but what's really fascinating is the reaction to the acquittal. So, for example, on the left, you're seeing the exact same arguments that are being made about the quote-unquote racial systems of the United States as you see being made about the healthcare system of the United States. So Hawk Newsome, famously of the Black Lives Matter movement, he says, we need vigilantism. He's basically making the Unabomber argument here. He's making the alleged shooter argument here. The racial system of the United States, the justice system is so broken that perhaps people should be assassinated. Now you hear that, a lot of my listeners, many of the people in the comments a couple of days ago, and they will say, well, that's evil what he said. Yes, it is. Yes, it turns out it is. Here he was yesterday.
Just like everybody else has vigilantes, we need some black vigilantes.
That's right.
People want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us?
Right.
I'm tired. I know you're looking for us to be like, oh, go and march. No. This weekend, I want you to hold a community event everywhere from the Bronx to Houston to Seattle to Florida. Black people, whole community event, and talk about what you need.
Okay, again, he's calling for open vigilantism. This was the Black Lives Matter movement, by the way. The Black Lives Matter movement, just take the healthcare context away and take the Black Lives Matter movement and put it in, and it's the same exact argument. The system is so broken, it is so despicable, that individual acts of vigilante evil are now justifiable. Right? Fiery but mostly peaceful would be the argument in this particular context. It's a bad argument, and it's a wrong argument. It is a morally wrong argument. Okay, meanwhile, as far as the Daniel Penny acquittal, obviously this trial never should have taken place. Here is Daniel Penny explaining the circumstances, this is a few months ago, explaining the circumstances of what happened on the subway.
In this instance, I was coming from school. I got out of class around 2:15, and I took I was at J Street Metro Tech, took the Uptown F train. At 2nd Avenue, a man came on, stumbled on, appeared to be on drugs. The doors closed, and he ripped his jacket off and threw it at the people sitting down to my left. I was listening to music at the time, and he was yelling, so I took my headphones out to hear what he was yelling. And the three main threats that he repeated over and over was, I'm gonna kill you, I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die. You know, this was a scary situation, and Mr. Nearly came on, he was threatening, I'm 6'2", and he was taller than me. So it was, and there's a common misconception that Marines don't get scared. We're actually taught one of our core values is courage, and courage is not the absence of fear, but how you handle fear. And, you know, I was scared for myself, but I looked around, I saw women and children. He was yelling in their faces, saying these threats. I couldn't just sit still. Some people say that I was holding on to Mr. Nearly for 15 minutes. This is not true. I mean, between stops is only a couple minutes. So the whole interaction lasted less than 5 minutes. Some people say I was trying to choke him to death, which is also not true. I was trying to restrain him. You can see in the video, there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he's breathing. I'm trying to restrain him from him being able to carry out the threats. And then some people say that this was about race, which is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't see a black man threatening passengers. I saw a man threatening passengers, a lot of whom were people of color. man who helped restrain Mr. Neely was a person of color. And then a few days after the incident, I read in the papers that a woman of color came out and called me a hero. I don't believe that I'm a hero, but she was one of those people that I was trying to protect. We were all scared. Mr. Neely was yelling in these passengers' faces, and they looked terrified. The reason why there was no video at the start of the altercation was because people were too afraid getting away from him, and the videos didn't start until they saw that situation was under control. I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that would protect the other passengers, protect myself, and protect Mr. Neely. I used this hole to restrain him, and I did this by leaving my hand on top of his head to control his body. You can see in the video there's a clear rise and fall of his chest indicating that he was still breathing. And I'm calibrating my grip based on the force that he's exerting. And I was trying to keep him on the ground until the police came. I was praying that the police would come and take this situation over. I didn't want to be put in that situation, but I couldn't just sit still and let him carry out these threats.
Okay, again, the fact that this everyone's trial is totally insane. The bizarre victim mentality that is now being adopted by Jordan Neely's father in particular is amazing. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.